Thank you for
Hey,
jumping
boys.
on. Mate.
Nah, all good. All good. How are we doing?
Oh, very good.
Going well. How are
Very
you?
good.
More important.
Yeah. Nah, doing all right. Oh, first of all, just congratulations on the 100 episodes, guys. It's a massive achievement, and should be very proud. And what an awesome way to bring it up as well to the live stream and stuff. I've been tuning in, and great to have a listen to as well too.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, you've been a part of the journey as well. I think we've had you on a couple of times. So when we were pretty fresh, and you guys were pretty fresh as well, we jumped on for, was it a collab? Wasn't it? That was
a collab. Yeah. We finally got to meet the other week for a beer. Which has been a long time coming. Obviously, COVID hasn't helped that, but it was good to finally catch up with you and Simo over there. So talk us through what your thoughts on the D's this so far have been. I mean, obviously, undefeated up until a few weeks ago, and obviously a couple of losses now, but I mean, I'm guessing you're not looking into it too much.
Nah, I think I think today was probably the nail that probably some of us thought was going to happen. Unfortunately, I think just with the week that we've just had, it's probably something that we haven't really experienced, even in our shittier times where we weren't doing so well on the field. I think just with everything that media sort of blew up again this past week gone by, it's I feel like that the pressure's getting to some supporters. It's interesting to see some of the blow up and the overreactions from some from some like supporters on the socials and everything. But I think what's going wrong with the side, like I think just these last 3 games, it's all really clear. I think the problem's really clear, and I think the club would know about that. Supporters can clearly see it, but just like the inability to be able to kick a score in these last 3 weeks and have any sort of benefits going forward, like our mid-forward connections just being atrocious, and we haven't been able to really get our forwards into a spot where they're going to be advantageous to have a shot on goal and creating those opportunities. Like we've seen, like we've been able to start games really well, and then it's just that falling away either after the first quarter or the first half. That's really sort of let us down. Like it's the clear examples in the last 3 games with Collingwood, Swans and Freo. Mind you, all very good sides. And I think that's something that we all have to sort of remember as well too, that we've played, Swans and Freo in probably 2 top 4 to 5 sides in the league. And then Collingwood are just on an absolute roll at the moment. And it's an interesting feeling. I've got my Premier's badge on here just to remind me and other supporters out there that we are still the Premiers. And I think the bye will just be a nice little reset button for us. I think we've got a lot of boys that are banged up. Max looked like he was on one leg out there. Petty and our backline been a little bit decimated. And then obviously the big hole that May leaves as well too has probably really been exposed the last 3 weeks as well.
Yeah, I mean, if a team ever needed a bye, I think it's the Melbourne Football Club, especially with what's going on, externally as well with, the violence and everything that went on last week, as everyone knows about. Like, I think the whole club just needs a bit of a breather for a week and just a reset, because you'd be a brave person to be writing off Melbourne at this stage, that's for sure. You went 10-0, and no one just goes 10-0 without being half decent. So, the teams you've lost to as well, they're some pretty decent teams as well. So I think the bye's come at a very good time. But you mentioned the forward line as well, and not really functioning properly. Do you think you're winning? Because a lot of Melbourne supporters I've spoken to have seen that as an issue already. And do you think the winning that you had at the start of the season will sort of paper over the cracks, and now it's really starting to be found out?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's a combination of potentially that, but also I think teams just sort of figuring this out and probably not getting a lot of that slingshot footy from the defensive half. Like we look extremely dangerous when we can kind of get on that fast break and those chains start from the half back line, and we can really find some space and run into an open forward line. And that's where we were able to find, like, that's where Fritsch bobs up and kicks his sort of 2 or 3 a week. We've been able to get one-on-ones with Ben Brown running out, or probably, arguably, and I think it's probably slid under the radar a bit, is Tom McDonald going down, because he was having a fantastic month of footy before he came down, and contested marks, and our work in the air has been absolutely atrocious in the last 3 weeks. That's where teams have clearly beaten us by. Like you had, I think contested marks in the 3rd quarter today. Like I think Collingwood were 10-1 or something like that. So like just the big forwards up front, and I'm not sort of talking about the backs, but I think we just seem to be exposed there. But the forward line, I'm not quite sure. We just keep sitting it on our forwards' heads, and Goody seems to be thinking that's still the right thing. Like you're bringing Wiedemann in, bringing him out. Mitch Brown gets the run the last couple of weeks, given T-Mac's injury, because he's playing better footy, but they still haven't seemed to have changed their approach going inside 50, and I think we wound up at about 30% efficiency going inside 50 today. 17 scores from 50-odd entries. So, yeah, it's certainly something that I have to go away and look at. And when I was saying that it was really clear about what's wrong, that's really clear. I think that's where the missing piece is, because even though our defense has probably been a little bit shaky with some key personnel missing, if we can't kick a score, like we've been struggling to kick 8-9 goals the last 3 weeks, that's going to be really difficult heading into the back end of the season and into finals as well.
It's really interesting saying that, isn't it? Because I mean, Melbourne have so famously, towards the back end of last year and even early this year, were able to put scores on so quickly and a high amounts of kicking 7 goals, 8 goals in a quarter, let alone struggling to do that for an entire game. So obviously interesting, and I do like the fact that you said it's an easy, well, not an easy fix, but you're easily able to pick out what the problem actually is. And I guess solving that then should just be a matter of tweaking a few little things, you'd imagine. Obviously, some of your forwards you have down there are very dangerous when they're on. It's just about, I think, hitting them up. Like you said, 37% efficiency going forward. You're not going to win too many games doing that, are you?
No, I didn't realize that was the stat for today. That's pretty concerning. Given, your midfield dominance is definitely there. Clayton Oliver had 42 touches today, I think, or
won the medal for the day as well.
Jeez, did you see his speech? Wasn't stoked about it.
Saying, nor was the crowd. I could hear we were just running in here to start recording as it ended, so I missed it. But you said the crowd wasn't too happy at all.
Yeah, the Collingwood fans were booing for sure.
The guy had 42 disposals. He went pretty well today, I reckon. I looked at the rest of his stats as well. They weren't nothing touches.
No, exactly right. Clayton Oliver is a star, but I find it a bit ironic that Collingwood supporters were booing that. Remember Anzac Day when Essendon fans were booing Pendlebury for winning the award?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. The irony there is, but that's Collingwood supporters for you, I guess.
Yeah.
Heading into the break, what do you want to see second half of the season? Anyway, I know you're the hunted now. I think that's what's making it challenging for you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that forward half connection. I think really making sure that the ball's in our best users' hands going inside, and that's Spargo, that's Alex Neil-Bull, and that's Christian Petrarca. Those balls need to be low and looking, at short, sharp targets and making sure you're kicking into space. And there's a great example last week of Mitch Brown hitting up Bailey Fritsch, like it was from about 55, but it was just the perfect kick to space. And I understand that, when the game slows down, it is harder to find those advantages at times, but they really, they need to do a body work around that, because at times in so let's say last year, you're right, the small forwards can sort of create a bit of chaos, but our forward pressure hasn't been what it's renowned for probably in the last month. Just in regards to being able to trap the ball inside. I think some teams have been able to pick us apart, getting outside our zone pretty easily, and I think if our forward pressure's up, then that kind of chaotic footy can work off. You got Cozzy, you got Spargo down the front there. Viney's been hitting the scoreboard as well, and you got Track and Oliver who can also get on the scoreboard. I think that's the biggest thing. I think also just getting a couple of boys healthy. Gawn definitely needs a week off. He probably should have had it against West Coast. And having May back's going to be big. Jake Lever's probably somebody that's been pretty underwhelming the last few weeks as well too. And I don't know about you guys, but every time he seems to go up for a mark, I can't remember the last time he's taken an intercept mark. Like, honestly, it spills every time, and it's a liability, and it causes headaches for down back. Like, thank goodness for Angus Brayshaw, who's remained down back even with Salem coming back in, and even today he was amazing in a losing side. He had some fantastic efforts down back there. So I think the biggest thing is figuring out how to get that ball through the big sticks and making sure that cohesion between our mids and our forwards is really on point, because coming straight out of the bye into Brisbane, even if it's at the G, is going to be a real telling point, I think, for where the club's at, even these last 3 weeks. But to come out there, that's going to be a real test.
Geez, Brisbane after the bye. Didn't realise that. That's going to be on, isn't it?
You're right. The bye did come at the right time. If you guys never need to rest, it's definitely against the lines. Just quickly, someone reminded me about a talking point we've spoken about a little bit recently, and obviously Richmond was sort of victim of it on Thursday night, but crowd attendance has obviously been a bit talked about with the D's fans lately. Why do you reckon the numbers are so low this year? I mean, obviously it's all around the board. It's not just Melbourne fans, but I think because you guys are the reigning premiers, the spotlight has been on you a bit more. What do you reckon the reason is for low attendance at the moment? Obviously it's a host of things, but
yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't know. I think Track's comments on the radio the other day, like as you said, I think it is across the board. I think I saw a stat the other day about compared to a couple of years ago that the D's attendance is still up a lot from where it was like I think in 2018 and even 20. Well, I understand the success is different for the teams, but it's significantly up from one of the last years that we could actually come to the footy, given that we've missed so much time there. It's a really tough one. I honestly am not sure. I don't know if it's just the crappy weather in the middle of winter, like we're in the middle of a cold snap at the moment, and it sounds like a pretty piss poor excuse. But I don't know. Personally, I feel like it's been a little bit unfairly labelled on just the D's. But like I suppose I was at the Sydney Melbourne game, and that had 30-odd thousand there on Saturday night between essentially two top four sides, and you would have thought there'd be more there. The Sydney supporters were louder than the Melbourne supporters. It felt like, obviously, towards the end of the game when they were making their comeback. It's hard to put a finger on it, Quinn. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Like, they've got 60,000 members now, which is, they're breaking new ground with that. So there's no reasons why they shouldn't be people in there. But I could probably see, sound not skeptical, but like health reasons and stuff in terms of like, keeping well and, not getting the flu and that stuff. I don't sound like a member sort of thing, but it's, it could be a full array of reasons. I don't think it's any one thing, and I think it'd be interesting to contrast it with the rest of the league in terms of, I reckon we'd be around the ballpark with everybody else.
Yeah, I don't think it's too far off the money. I mean, I made a comment last week on the podcast, and
I did say that.
We put a reel out about it, and then Simo was quick to jump down my throat after Richmond only got 21,000 at the G. I was like, fair enough, touche. So it was, I think it is all around the board. And look, to be honest with you, I think it does have something to do. I mean, a lot of people at the moment, the flu is back, sort of gastro, those sort of things. A lot of people catching these things that we've sort of forgotten about because of COVID, and could be a reason, like you said, cold snap. I think it's a host of things, but yeah, you're right. I think inflation, things are expensive.
Yeah,
things are very expensive at the moment. You've seen fuel.
So, and people just being able to get out there and do stuff now as well too. I think it's the first winter that we've had out in the open for 2 years. So yeah, there's the illness side of things, but I think just people like socializing and stuff as well too. Maybe just not prioritizing, boys know how it is, like social events and stuff always get booked up so quickly, and before you know it's the end of the season. So I would say that, depending on our form, I'd still think that we'd like to increase it as the season gets on a little bit as well too. It's one of those things, round one pops up, and then you're sort of like, oh yeah, I'll get to the next one, and before you know it's round 10. Before you know it, it's it's the last round of the season and heading into finals. It goes super quickly, but yeah, I think it'll be something that's probably constant throughout the season, I would say. But I'm sure come finals time, regardless of who's in there, it'll be back pumping again. Like, did you boys see? Did they release the stat for yesterday's GWS North game? Did they? I think. Do you know what the crowd was?
13,000.
Oh, so they got double figures. Neither.
Yeah, there was more at the North GWS game yesterday than the North versus Melbourne game a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. So that's considered.
Yeah,
I think that's also potentially because they were talking all week about how poor this was going to be. So I think fans showed up.
And they were giving away some free tickets too.
Yeah, so it would have been interesting. But I do have a sneaky suspicion that as the year goes on and gets towards the pointy end, I think the games will start filling up a lot more, especially as Melbourne, you'd imagine would finish reigning premiers again if they can find their form again. So
yeah,
I'd hate to sound like a wanker, but like the games I've gone in, the members of like MCC members has always been pretty full. So it's when you cast your eye out to the rest of the ground and there's bloody no one in there. But there you go. It sounds like a cheeseball. Flag flying wanker.
Mate, you've bought right into the stereotype there. We love that though. We love it.
All right, mate. Well, let's do a quick little mid-year review questions. What's been your game of the year so far for the D's?
Game of the year. Or round one, I think, was always going to be a huge statement. I think kind of that unprecedented grand final rematch, getting the Wednesday night there, and just having that not second chance, but I suppose having that chance to face up to Bulldogs a few months after beating them in the grand final. I think to get on top of that, and given how the game played out as well too, was kind of like in similar fashion. Like, Melbourne off to a blistery start in the first quarter, Bulldogs storming all the way back in the second, and then Melbourne not kicking away as we did in the granny, but still being able to get on top there. I think just the way that we started the season, I thought was, I think that was really important to get that one off. Because I think some people were a bit unsure about it. I think, some people want a little bit of momentum leading into a grand final rematch, sitting at somewhere around about, 5 or 6 or something like that, getting a few games under your belt. But for the AFL to sort of throw it in there and throw it before, your boys on the Thursday night, I think that was a really big deal and important for the club as well too, to be the opening season for the round. So I think that's probably the biggest one. Other than that, St Kilda was probably a big test, I think, for us at that time. I think that was round 7 or so. That was probably, people were saying, hadn't really played anyone yet. And St Kilda have been playing some pretty good footy. So I think that was also an important game for us as well.
No, I love that. There's a few good ones to choose from there. And speaking of a few to choose from, you got a few of them. Who do you reckon's been your best player so far?
Oh, it's hard to look past Clary, I think, just in terms of his midfield dominance. Like, it took up until, what was it, the Freo game for a team to tag him and sort of see what the impact it had on our side. So I think it's hard to be past him. Gawn's been incredible. Just doing absolutely everything he can to stay out there, and the way that he's been able to move up forward and sort of in the last few weeks be our most dangerous kind of tall forward down there, the only one that looks like making a mark. I think he's been also pretty incredible as well. I'm sure I've left some people out, but I think those two might sound pretty stock standard, but I think the evidence is pretty clear.
Yeah, it's hard to go past them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Gorney's been incredible. Just year after year, just keeps backing it up. It's great. So
because track started on fire, but he's sort of come down to earth a little bit in these last probably 5-6 rounds. So otherwise, you probably would have said him especially after his first couple of games.
Yep. All right. This would be an interesting one. Season prediction. What's happening? Are you winning the flag? Are you off the train? What's your prediction?
Look, we're around the mark. I think at our best, still, like, we can beat anyone. The fact is that our last 4 weeks haven't been our best, I think. And I think going back 12 months ago, we were in a similar position, probably not under the same scrutiny because we weren't coming off the back of a premiership and didn't have all this shit blowing up in the media. But, we had a real lull, losing to Adelaide round 10 last year by a point, who, bottom dwellers at that point. And then I think lost 2 out of the next 3, including Queen's birthday last year as well, too. We've got a pretty terrible track record the last few years of that. And then we built a really good back half of the season after the bye. So look, I'd back us in to go there. I think, it's too early to write us off. And in terms of challenges, I don't see... Brisbane will be really interesting. Geelong, I'm not convinced by, although Jeremy Cameron's looking pretty scary at the moment. But besides that, I'm not really seeing anyone that could really, that's really scaring me right now. Like, we've lost 4 games, but I believe that we weren't at our best then. So I could see us like at least making the granny for sure.
Yeah. You're not scared of the Blues by any chance?
Yeah, well, I've probably forgotten. Like, when did you guys have the bye? You haven't played in a couple of weeks, have you?
Yeah, we had the bye last
Friday
week. We played Essendon. That was our first game off the
bye. Oh, right. Yeah. No, definitely. I think, you've certainly been probably one of the most exciting teams to watch, and just in terms of the style of your play. I think Vossi's just kind of unlocked everything, and it's sort of proved that you've had all the pieces there almost the whole time. Give here and there in the midfield and sort of unlocking a few. But no, certainly I think you guys played probably the most exciting brand of footy, and you've been doing it consistently. So no, I think you're up there. To be interesting to see how how you stand up in the test of finals, though. I think just with some of that experience as well, to be interesting. But when we don't meet you till round 19, I think it is. So it's
22. I think it's the second last round.
It's same with Geelong. We don't play Geelong till right at the end of the season as well, too. It's funny how people would like diss our fixture, like saying, "Oh, Melbourne haven't played anyone." It's like it's not like we have any bloody control of who we play. Like we don't dictate it. We don't decide which teams decide to drop off after last year. So it's it'll be a really tough test in that last few games as well too. Heading back into the season, back end of the season, we've got sort of the top rung teams heading into there. So I think that'll obviously have a huge impact.
Yeah, for sure. All right, mate. We'll do the pressure cooker, and then we'll let you go. If you had to delist one player in your team, who would it be?
Oh shit. Let's say
tough with the D's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Answer it before on the show, so it could be someone different.
It could be someone different.
That is true.
I'm gonna say, oh fuck. Oh god, this is like Tajwa Woden.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Almost a cop out.
Yeah, almost a cop
out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of success, I guess. You don't really know. You want everyone. So we'd love that. If you could add a player from another list, who are you taking? Who's in form right now?
Well, I was listening to Blake from Richmond Journey before, I think it was, in talking about Harry Mackay, and I just think that second big forward, if somebody that can clunk a mark, I think is somebody who we need right at this very second, especially with teammate going down. So I'd love to have him, Mackay, I think.
I tell you what, mate, it's good. It's good having him. So,
Twin towers, it's great.
Yeah,
hope he does another hand
when he's healthy. Yeah.
Would you wear team colours to a neutral game?
I'd probably wear a scarf. I don't know if I'd go anything more than that. Yeah, especially given it's winter, I think I could make the case for that. But that's a bit about it.
A scarf's a garment you can wear, I reckon. We'll cop that. Next one is footy jumpers to games, yes or no?
Well, I'm going to go ahead. I have to wear a collared shirt when I go to the game, so I don't personally wear them. I'll wear them around the house, but I don't have a problem with people wearing them. I don't wear them to games personally because of the here we go again, MCC dress code. But no, I don't have a problem with wearing them. That's all right.
Yeah, I love it. It's been an interesting question, that one.
It's
really cold.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah. Like I get stacks of NBA jerseys, and I know people ask the same thing, but like, still.
The most interesting one for me with the NBA jersey comparison is how it's acceptable to wear an NBA jersey like out and about, like as a streetwear piece, but to wear your footy jumpers, not you just look like a bit of an uffie.
Well, like all right,
Richmond jumper, just a Richmond jumper. It's a bit, but if I wear Kobe Bryant jersey, it's a different sort of, you know what I mean? Different story. I don't know. It's a weird one.
What about the footy jumper over the collared shirt? Would you? What do you say? No, I'm not saying I would wear that, but like I've seen it. That's an interesting look. Yeah, I reckon I'd go there.
I don't know if I would. I'd probably put it over a hoodie, the jumper over a hoodie or something like that, or a sweat. That more for me. If I'm going to wear a shirt, I'm probably trying to look at just a scarf with the shirt. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one.
It is an interesting topic. Yeah.
I've sat a few times in the last year or so, and people will wear the shirts with the jumper on top, and I'm like, maybe just a scarf today, mate. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting topic.
All right, mate.
Cool. Like it.
Last one. Which team do you love beating the most?
Well, it hasn't happened for a little while, but it has to be Collingwood. Simo messaged me and said that. Oh no, sorry, his girlfriend Elle messaged me saying that he'd been into a few fights. Well, I'm guessing verbal altercations with some Collingwood fans, and they are the worst. I still to this day remember in 17 where we had to win round 23 and we had nothing to play for. It was Roosy's last game, maybe it was 2016, and we lost. Like Collingwood was sitting probably 12th or 13th, and I just remember getting stuck into this. Just sitting next to this bunch of folks, and there's nothing worse. But I've got to show you this though. Look what Elle sent me. I don't know if you can see that, but that's Simo wearing a Collingwood scarf after the game, saying go the Pies. So interesting work there. But it has to be Collingwood. I don't think there's a couple of other teams I don't like. St Kilda's probably up there, but no, Collingwood by an absolute mile. when it happens next.
Popular one,
They've been very popular tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Love it, mate. But that's all, mate. And I really appreciate you coming on. And as I said at the start, you've been along the journey with us. You've been a big supporter of ours, and likewise with you, we've followed your work all the way through. So again, thank you, mate. And hope the D's can bring some more success to you this year.
No worries, boys. Always a pleasure, and all the best for the rest of the show. But congrats again, and massive achievement. And looking forward to catching up for the next one for sure.